Ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. Before we start our session, as usual, the Bureau met just now and discussed the organization of our work for today. I'm sure that you realize that we are behind schedule, and at this point, I feel duty-bound to draw your urgent attention to the serious risk we are facing. As the remaining agenda items are crucial for the committee to be able to function next year. These items are, among others, establishment of the evaluation body for the 2019 cycle. Item 15, to consider the number of files submitted for the year 2018 and 2019, and number of files that can be treated in 2020 and 2021 cycles. We have to finalize the date and venue of the 14th session, elect the Bureau of the 14th session of the committee, and also adopt a list of decisions. Let me suggest how to proceed today. We will have, of course, to come back to item 13.10 and to adopt the draft decision. Over the past days, we spent a lot of time discussing this item, and through this discussion, most committee members took the floor, and the main lines and needs concerning the nomination process became evident. Therefore, and in light of the limited time at our disposal, my suggestion is to go direct to the adoption of the draft decision. Hopefully, if you keep your intervention short and to the point, for the rest of the morning, we will be able to complete the examination of items 14 to 16. And may I also inform you that at the Bureau meeting, we wanted to see how we can move as quickly as possible. And I'm grateful and wish to share with all of you that we are most grateful to the interpreters who have agreed that we have a shorter lunch break. Instead of having 1 hour lunch break, yes, instead of 2 hours lunch break, we are going to have only 1 hour lunch break, which means that we are going to stop at 12:30 and resume at 1:30 p.m. Is there any objection to this short lunch break? Thank you for your understanding, which means that our afternoon session will start at 13:30 hours, and which means that in any event, we should finish our business of the day at 16:30 hours, 4:30 p.m. instead of 5:30 p.m. I hope that this also, the members won't mind that we finish a bit earlier. Our intention is to complete examination of items 14 to 16 in the morning, and in the afternoon to complete the rest of the items. And just in case we feel that we are running out of time, we will not be examining item 17, follow up on the implementation of the relevant recommendations of the open-ended working group. Yes, Philippine, you want to intervene at this juncture?
Yes, Mr. Chairperson, as we mentioned in the Bureau, we hope that we have enough time to discuss this item 17. We'd like to discuss this item 17 if there's time during our committee session, and we don't believe that it'll take very long, so it could be a very speedy adoption of that decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us see how we proceed. Under other business, we have an issue which Palestine raised, and the committee member promised that he is going to be very, very brief on that issue. Concerning item 21, the committee has to adopt the list of all decisions adopted up to the lunch break. And what we suggest is that the committee delegates to its rapporteur the responsibility to validate the rest of the decisions. And in the interest of time, I propose that we delegate to the rapporteur the responsibility to validate all the decisions instead. This is another means by which we can also save a lot of time. For the sake of transparency, the Secretariat will be still distributing the decisions adopted to that time during lunch break. My understanding is that the Secretariat will publish the decision in the final version by the end of the year. Thank you for your kind attention and understanding. And with your permission, let us move straight away to item 10, where, no, 13 come 10, and where we were yesterday. I understand that there were 3 members who wanted to intervene when we left yesterday. There was Senegal, Cuba, and Colombia, if I'm not mistaken. I wish to ascertain whether Senegal, Cuba, and Colombia wish to take the floor now under this item. Okay, thank you for the 3 members for your understanding. Can we now show the draft decisions, please? We are going to have the draft decision on the screens. Draft decision 13, come 10. Able to adopt as a whole draft decision 13, come 10. Do we have amendments on that I believe that there are amendments which have been proposed on that. Yes, Secretary, can you please?
Sorry, we received yesterday evening amendments from 2 states. Perhaps I would ask the BACO team just to scroll through to see where those amendments are, so that everybody's aware. One from Azerbaijan under 11, another from Azerbaijan under 12, another from Azerbaijan under 13. Keep going. One from Philippines, Palestine, Sri Lanka under 15, another one under 16, another one under 17. Please go. Another one under 18. And then 2 new paragraphs from Japan on 18 and 19. Thank you.
Point of order, Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to request that we adopt it paragraph by paragraph. Thank you.
Yes, in fact, I wasn't aware that there were so many proposals for amendments. Is there anybody who wishes to? Okay, we are agreeable that we proceed paragraph by paragraph. Can we start by paragraph 1, please? Are we agreeable to paragraph 1? Adopted. And what about paragraph 2? I see something in red.
This is just an alignment. It's a clerical correction. It's updating.
No issue about paragraph 2. There is no amendment, just an issue, technical issue. Therefore, with your permission and approval, we adopt paragraph 2. No objection, adopted. Paragraph 2 adopted. Paragraph 3. No objection, adopted. Paragraph 4. Adopted. Paragraph 5. Adopted. Paragraph 6. Adopted. Paragraph 7. No objection again. Adopted. Paragraph 8. Adopted. Paragraph 9. Adopted. Paragraph 10. Adopted. We have here an amendment proposed by Azerbaijan. I understand it is to add a paragraph. This is my understanding. Is it so, Mr. Secretary? Yes, in fact, it is to add a new paragraph 11 as proposed by Azerbaijan. Is there any objection to the amendment as proposed by Azerbaijan? No objection. Adopted. The new paragraph 12 now, and with some amendment at the end. I understand that the Secretary wishes to intervene at this juncture.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. This particular amendment poses problem because it is asking for description on how individuals are chosen to represent communities and to give free, prior, informed consent on their behalf. There is no clear directives on which individuals can represent communities. There are many different forms of communities in different parts of the world. Some are represented by individuals, some are represented by groups of individuals, some have different ways of representing. This I believe this requested amendment will put us in a bind that we will not be able to implement, because don't think it's because there is no clear definition in any directives telling us how to represent, how to choose individuals to represent their communities, and it is for the communities to decide how they wish to represent themselves.
Yes, Azerbaijan, could you please?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Secretary. So Azerbaijan is very much flexible to remove that amendment. Thank you so much.
We are most grateful, Azerbaijan, which means that we are going to remove the amendment to the new paragraph 12. And in that case, can we move to adopt new paragraph 12? No objection, adopted. Move now to the new paragraph 13, where again, this is a new paragraph, I believe. Paragraph 13. Are we agreeable? I see. Yes, Armenia.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Chair, because we see for the first time this amendment. Can you give us just 1-2 minutes to go through it?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Yes, let us hear Mr. Curtis, please.
This is just to point out that this is the same wording as 10Com 10, that this decision has already been adopted by the committee at its 10th session. It is the same decision, and it's being reiterated in the same way. Secretariat doesn't see the need of it, but it doesn't also change the current status relating to R5. Thank you.
Yes, I have Armenia and Palestine who should
I think that there is a linguistic problem over there. It refers its decision. I think we are referring to a decision, and we are not refers the decision. It's rejecting it somehow. So I think that there is a problem. In French, it's okay. Rappelle aussi sa décision, ça marche. On rappelle, donc refers to. Okay, thank you.
Armenia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And sir, I would like to ask for the rationale of this paragraph. What actually does it state? I'm very sorry for this information, especially when it says that the information should be considered complementary to the information included in the nomination file. So the explanation of this part. Thank you.
Yes, any explanation on the rationale for including this paragraph 13? Yes, the mover of the adoption could perhaps explain to us the rationale. Azerbaijan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Well, our delegation put this amendment based on the work of the report of the evaluation body. So we are very much flexible. We think that if it's possible, we'd like to keep this amendment as it states.
Yes, Armenia?
If Mr. Curtis says that there is no need to repeat this paragraph at this stage and delegation is flexible, maybe we can omit it because the decision 10Com 10 is already there, and I didn't get reply to the meaning of this paragraph in this draft decision. Thank you.
to know the feelings of the committee, whether, yes, Azerbaijan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So we, as I said, very much flexible with this paragraph as well. So we leave it to the committee. If they don't want to adopt it, so it's okay. If they want, it's okay for us. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Azerbaijan. I take it that we leave we're not going to include paragraph 13, since it already forms part of a previous decision, and which means that this amendment with the comprehension of Azerbaijan will not be included. Yes, could the Secretariat just make the necessary modification to the draft in the light of same? Okay. Therefore, I believe that the numbering is okay. Are we not removing this paragraph? This is what I understand.
It's been moved. It's out now. It's out.
Okay, okay. And now, what's the purpose now of paragraph 13? What is the amendment? No, I believe that there is an issue. Refers to Azerbaijan, the three words.
Technically to fix it, but just
Exactly.
okay. Just now, in English it's okay. In English. And in 13 it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Now go to 13.
Now, are we now ready to adopt paragraph 13 as it appears on your screen? No objection, adopted. Paragraph 14, please.
Roll it.
Yes, please, on the screen, if we could have, I see here. Okay, okay.
Just 1 minute for French. We need to catch up in the French.
Philippine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. While the amendment is being transposed into French, just allow us to give some general remarks on this proposal of ours, supported by a number of committee members. First of all, the overall theme of this session here in Mauritius has been dialogue. And it's fitting that it's here in Mauritius, which is a model of interracial, intercultural harmony. As you defined yesterday in our discussions and summed up very eloquently, there is a general consensus to have a dialogue as an upstream mechanism in the evaluation process. The General Assembly has in fact delegated to the committee the need to develop an appropriate dialogue mechanism. This was done at the last General Assembly through its decision 7GA6, paragraph 5. Our proposal takes all of this into account and tries to have a pragmatic approach and remain compatible with the suggested two-step process that was discussed also yesterday, that the reflection procedure would first look at the evaluation and look towards possible amendments for the 2020 General Assembly. So what we're suggesting is that we pilot a dialogue mechanism for next year with a view to coming up with the right amendments to present to the General Assembly in 2020. We also do not think that this proposal in any way contravenes the operational directives, nor the will and desire of, first of all, the General Assembly, which already mandated us to do something on dialogue, nor the committee, where all we've been hearing the last 4 or 5 days is the need for dialogue, nor I think the expectations of the many, many communities in the field where our work is necessary. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Philippine. Yes, Palestine.
I think that my colleague from Philippines was very clear. Just to add, how does this proposal doesn't affect the operational directives? Actually, we are not adding any new phase or any new event. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
When I read, Cuba. Yes, Cuba, please.
Gracias, señor presidente. Cuba también desea sumarse a esta enmienda y nos parece que es muy coherente con toda la discusión y el debate en torno a este tema que hemos estado sosteniendo en esta sesión. El colega de Filipinas ha sido muy claro y no repetiré todos los argumentos que él ha dado. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. May I, yes, Chypre.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. C'est pour partager aussi notre accord pour les amendements. Merci.
Colombia.
Gracias, presidente. Apoyamos la enmienda.
May I just request, yes, please, if you bear with me, Lebanon, having read the proposal, and recalling what happened yesterday, there were a few members who raised the issue regarding the workload. And I don't know whether this is going to be any issue, and since I'll read in the paragraph 14, I'll ask the Secretariat to respond to the paragraph.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd like to thank also the Honourable Delegate of Philippines, who indeed highlighted the importance of dialogue from this committee session. And many themes have come out, I think, dialogue and overall reform and rules. But unfortunately, workload is a constant problem, but I don't think the problem here is workload. It will present additional work. The problem is Rule 54. Rule 54, if I may, says that in 30th of June, year 1, deadline by which the Secretariat will have, Rule 55, phase 2, meeting, April to June, meeting for final evaluation by the evaluation body. It means by June, the evaluation body has to have made its final evaluation. So, how that means, according to Rule 55, the evaluation body cannot change its evaluation after the June meeting. So we could apply the procedure, but the evaluation body would not be able to take into account and change its evaluation based on the upstream dialogue. We can test it on an experimental basis, but the point is it will not be able to affect the evaluations made next year if we apply the rules. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Philippine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, and we thank Mr. Curtis for his response. We take due note of it. However, if you look at that paragraph, Operational Directive 55, yes, it does say April-June meeting for final evaluation of the evaluation body. Yes, that's clearly in black and white. However, where is in this paragraph the September meeting of the evaluation body? Shouldn't that also be in the rule? And if it's not in the rule, why does it take place? So I want to ask then, isn't the practice already in contravention with this Rule 55? But I do not see it. The argument has always been that we have to follow the rule. Where is the September meeting? There's a September meeting in the previous paragraph, 54. However, that only talks about the deadline. So, we want to be constructive, Mr. Chairperson. We hear the political will of all the member states of the General Assembly, from the General Assembly to the committee, the last 2 years since the debacle in Addis Ababa. Not to say that, meaning to say that there was certain decisions there at that committee where we might have done otherwise, and thus we're in this situation now. So all we're asking for is some flexibility it is not going against the operational directives.
You made your point.
And that we should go ahead with this process and see what we can come out of it. It's still a provisional measure. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Curtis, Secretary, please.
And perhaps also the evaluation body's members would like to speak. You were asking about the meeting in September. The meeting in September is a meeting where the evaluation body gets together to agree on the contents of the reports. The practice has always been, and I do ask evaluation body members to speak, whether they have ever changed one of the decisions in September. So and again, I think the evaluation body should speak about the process that goes on during the evaluation body. Thank you.
I have already 4 members who wishes to intervene: Cuba, Austria, Palestine, Poland, and okay, Cuba, please.
Gracias, señor presidente. Ayer tuvimos un largo debate sobre el mandato o la competencia de este comité que debería emanar o no, o que debe emanar de lo que estipula la Asamblea. Lo que estamos discutiendo hoy ya ha sido mandatado por la Asamblea. Creo que estaríamos ganando tiempo si llegamos a la Asamblea con una propuesta mucho más concreta. Se nos dice todo el tiempo que tenemos poco tiempo, justamente, y no podemos, porque este es un espacio intergubernamental. No discutimos en el comité porque debemos hacerlo en la Asamblea. No discutimos en la Asamblea porque no tenemos tiempo. ¿Dónde es el debate? Porque lo próximo, por un problema de carga de trabajo, es consultarnos online. Entonces, por favor, yo pienso que hemos sido flexibles a lo largo de todas estas sesiones y debemos también comprender la voluntad y hacer la lectura correcta de lo que están pidiendo los miembros de este comité. Muchas gracias.
Austria.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I feel the tension in the room, and we all have already expressed our support for dialogue and reflection. In Austria, we have a saying vom Hudeln kommen die Kinder, which means, or badly translated as if you're too hasty, there will be children. So you have to live with the consequences for a long time. Yeah. Well, if I remember correctly, then this decision 7GA6 was referring not to the committee but to the working group. So it should go through the working group, the open-ended working group as well. Maybe we can see also this decision on the screen if that would be possible.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Palestine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, I think that the Secretariat have 2 approaches to respect the operational guidelines. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, but at this stage it is clear, my colleague was clear. You can read paragraph 55. The meeting of September is not there. Then if we stick to the legal issue, so this event is not there, it is illegal. So this is not consistent. This is the first thing. Second thing, I agree with our colleague from Austria. We need to see it. It says, paragraph 5, the working group and the committee, both of them. And then having children is a good thing. Thank you.
Poland.
Thank you, Chair. Taking into account discussions of yesterday and concerns expressed today, we would like to suggest to ask legal advisor to share with us his opinion if the committee has the right to suggest such solutions. Thank you.
Unfortunately, Poland, the legal advisor left yesterday afternoon. Yes, may I, with the permission of Cyprus?
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Après écouter le secrétaire pour l'explication pour la réunion de l'organe d'évaluation en mois de septembre, il dit qu'il donne la décision finale des examens des dossiers. Mais dans ce cas-là, après le dialogue, il peut en effet faire la décision finale dans les rapports. Merci.
Sénégal.
Monsieur le Président, merci. Le Sénégal a toujours été constant pour souhaiter ce dialogue en amont et que donc cette phase expérimentale, si cette phase expérimentale est possible et conforme aux règles, aux directives opérationnelles, nous la soutenons, bien entendu. Merci.
Philippine, with your permission, can I just give again the floor to the Secretariat? Perhaps he has something to share with us, and then we take you if need be.
Mr. Chairperson, and I think I want to assure that the idea is to move towards upstream dialogue, but I want to also assure that we do it in compliance with the rules. Final evaluation is not final decision. Final evaluation is in June, and perhaps I wonder if the chair would ask the evaluation body to speak a little bit about how it does its work. What we might find, because I want to be bound, we need to be bound by the rules of the operational directives. I'm happy to say we can take on this load this year and try to do this, but I'm not convinced that the evaluation body is allowed to change its evaluation after June. And the rule in the evaluation body has always been that the June evaluation that comes out of the June meeting does not get changed in September. And that's the way it's always been. Now, if we can do it, we can try it. I'm okay. I'm just not convinced, and we don't have legal affairs here. But perhaps the evaluation body should speak about it. We have always worked that way. The evaluation body, the rule of the evaluation body, which is the 1 week meeting in June, all evaluations of each criteria are made in that week, and then in September, none of those individual evaluations are changed. And that is how this rule has been applied. Now, if there is flexibility, I don't mind. If there's legal flexibility to that, I'll do it. We can do it. But I'm signaling this concern. Thank you.
Can we hear the chairperson of the evaluation body?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe I can explain very quickly on how we operate. In early March, we have our first meeting with the new members that we are going to elect today. And we share with the new members. We also have a mock evaluation and agree on the timetable and the work to be accomplished within the year. Then immediately we start online evaluation, individual online evaluation of every file from March, April, and May. Then before we meet somewhere in mid-June, we get an overview of what everybody has done so that we meet for the entire week where we discuss every item, every file, criteria by criteria, considering all the opinion of all the 12 members. We are 12 members, 6 experts, and 6 representatives of NGOs. Then we reach a consensus. We review the file, we look at it, and we normally consider the content in the file. Then after that, we task the rapporteur from around July to start drafting the decisions, the recommendations. Then afterwards, they share with us the purpose of meeting in September is to validate the information, whether it is exactly, the report is exactly as what we agreed in June. So we don't normally make any change at all. Now, my worry is if in July is the drafting of the recommendations, and which covers even early part of August, at what point are we going to communicate to the state parties to submit the new information? Because essentially when the nominations are done, in case the file has some technical incompleteness, they are given a chance up to around June the following day to submit any other information. Now this one which is done after, are we going to do the nomination again? And at what point are we going to get the information? Are we going to do individual online examination of the new information before we reach a consensus? So that's why we needed the committee to come up with a mechanism that will enable us to accomplish this work before September. Because in September we validate, then thereafter the rapporteur will do the final draft, which the chair and also the files will look at to ascertain whether this is exactly what we discussed about before these documents are translated and submitted or put online to everybody now by end of October. It's the time limit which might really affect us, but we are also in support of the dialogue. But depending on what mechanisms we are following, and also putting in mind that we don't contravene any operational directive and procedure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Omari. Philippine?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and really thank both the Secretariat and the Chair of the evaluation body for their comments and the sharing of their procedures. And we appreciate the willingness also to try, that's what we heard, and that no one is against dialogue. First of all, to respond to my distinguished colleague from Austria, the decision of the General Assembly was the ad hoc working group and the Intergovernmental Committee. The ad hoc working group has in fact worked on dialogue the last 2 years already. We really believe that the time is now, after everything we've heard the last few days, and that this is not going against the operational directives, that there is flexibility involved. We hear an openness to try. In fact, if we are going to propose amendments, shouldn't we try some kind of mechanism before proposing amendments to ensure that what we will propose will be good, workable? It may not work next year, but we should still try it. Nobody has spoken against this. I think it's about time that it's time to try. And we respectfully submit these amendments, and if there's still a hesitation or opposition, I think nevertheless it's over 2 committees already. This is the 3rd committee. It's time to make a decision, Mr. President, and we would like to have a decision on these amendments. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Curtis.
Again, we have no objection to trying this year, but I do want to know if the evaluation body can change its decision after June, even if we try, as an experiment in order to prepare operational directives to see what works. What I am not clear is if after June the evaluation body is allowed to change the recommendations it has made, and I'm willing to go ask legal affairs when we get back to Paris, if it's
Palestine.
Allowed.
No, sorry. Kuwait and then Palestine.
Good morning. We just wanted to give our support to our colleagues from the Philippines. We agree with their decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just there is one point of order first. Would it be possible, there were so many plates raised in order to support the amendment, and we don't see these plates added on the screen. This is the first thing. Second thing, Mr. Curtis, we thank him. He said that it is possible, it is feasible. It will ask them a little bit more work. We understand it. We thank you in advance. And he's wondering whether the evaluation body can change the recommendation in September following the operational directives, legally talking. Well, already legally talking, they can't meet in September. It's not there. It's not there. So already there is a problem. So it couldn't be double approach. It's not possible. So I think at this stage, I'm asking our colleagues in the committee in order to save time, just to raise their plates in order to support this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We ask the Secretariat to include all the names supporting this amendment. And I'll now ask Netherlands and Azerbaijan to just intervene very shortly. I see also Senegal and Sri Lanka. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I think I have 3 questions. First, the legal advisor. It does sound a bit too simple to say he's not here, so we cannot check with him. I would really want to reflect if there's a possibility to somehow get some legal advice on this, because allow me to use some of his words he used yesterday, which were, this is not compliant, this is a deviation, you do not have the authority, do not have the authority to adjust. We cannot allow to suspend or deviate from procedures. I'm sorry, so this to me sounds like there was a big problem with the things we suggested yesterday. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we heard about, yesterday we heard the co-chair of the ad hoc working group from Algeria who had some serious objections to this. Maybe, I don't know, because there's...
Yeah. Let us hear the point of order of Philippines.
Mr. Chairperson, not to interrupt our distinguished colleague from Netherlands, she has a very valid point, but on a point of order, she's talking about the responses to the proposal of the Secretariat yesterday, not this proposal. They're different. That was a proposal changing the referral cycle, changing the cycles. That was clearly in contravention with the rules, because the cycle says that a referral has to come back the following. This is not changing anything. It's not adding, it's not changing. So, so I just want to clarify that. It's not this proposal. Thank you.
Point taken.
Okay, point taken.
Point taken. It's just that, by trying to change the rules, it's just, to me, it sounds like we should have some legal advice if we are actually changing anything. And also, I would ask if we can look at Resolution 7, General Assembly 6, because when I look at it, it ends with the request to the informal working group to present its deliberations and recommendations to the General Assembly, which doesn't sound to me like to present an experiment that, so.
With your permission, let me once again give the floor to the Secretariat.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. As I said, it's not that we're not willing to test this or that we're not willing to try it. But I do have questions, and I maintain that the September meeting is not illegal. And for reasons I don't want to go into right now, because it's not a meeting of evaluation, but of report writing. Therefore, what we see in this decision is essentially the desire to start the process this year and test it towards next year. We can do that. What I cannot say, and this is where, again, we've been asked for creativity, perhaps this will be a little bit of creativity. What I cannot say yet is that having gone through this process this year, the evaluation body can actually change its decision after its evaluation after June. It may be that the committee next year finds itself again having to confront a report where the evaluation body includes references to clarifications that were made after the meeting in June, but which will not affect its initial evaluation, which would be perhaps somewhat similar to the dual option we faced pending the revision of the operational directives in 2020. I think with that in mind, it's possible to move forward on this issue. Thank you.
I have got quite a long list. Azerbaijan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We just want to support the proposal of Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you. Lebanon.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The whole mood is supporting the dialogue, and I think we can be a bit flexible. But now it's becoming a bit confusing. If we start this dialogue process and the committee, the evaluation body cannot change the decision, then I don't see the point. But I would like to call on all of us to be more flexible, and if we're trying to do that, I ask the evaluation body also to be more flexible and find time to change if this is an experiment and a pilot project, so we can come up with some serious proposition for the GA. Thank you.
Let us hear very quickly Sri Lanka.
We reiterate our decision that we support the Philippines' decision proposal.
Cuba.
Gracias, señor presidente. Me pregunto si todas las decisiones que hemos tomado en este comité durante esta sesión se han hecho conforme a las reglas, con estricto cumplimiento de las reglas. No quiero una respuesta. Tampoco creo que la presencia del asesor jurídico hubiese dado una respuesta diferente al que nos da la Secretaría, porque lo hemos constatado en toda esta semana. Nos ha resultado muy difícil ver dónde está la diferencia del juez y la parte. En todo caso, por favor, agradeceríamos que pudiera hacer una lectura correcta de la sala en cuanto al apoyo que tiene esta propuesta y basado en el carácter intergubernamental que tiene este comité. Muchas gracias.
Can I, at this juncture, request that we close the debate? And I believe that there is more or less, we have the feeling of all members, and we move. There are some practical issues, but basically all committee members are agreeable that we adopt this. Yes, I see that Senegal wishes to intervene.
Oui, Monsieur le Président, j'avais demandé depuis le début à être ajouté sur la liste des pays qui soutiennent. Donc, voilà. Merci.
C'est fait, Sénégal. Okay, are we agreeable that we adopt in the light of what we have heard and what we went through, and of course, and we endeavor to find flexibility. The Secretariat is here, the evaluation body. Of course, what we have discussed here has been sufficiently canvassed. And since this is a feeling of the committee, if we could adopt at this juncture paragraph 14, the new paragraph 14. Armenia?
I'm very sorry, I was just pointing to the Secretary to put our name also as a supporter. Thank you, Mr. Otone.
Thank you. Zambia also wished to add its name. Togo also wished to add its name. Guatemala, Jamaica, Djibouti, adopted. Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for the sake of time, may I kindly ask you and our colleagues, I suppose that all the support for paragraph 14 is also for 15 and 16. So maybe this will avoid wasting time. Maybe you can propose to adopt the two other paragraphs also. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, this was in fact my intention. In fact, I take it that paragraph 15 and 16 has the same support, and we, with your permission, we can include all the name of the countries who are supporting these two paragraphs. And if there is any country who feels, who sees that his name is not on the list, just to join in and give us notice? Okay. I take it that paragraph 15 and 16 are duly adopted by the same countries who supported the amendment of paragraph 14. Paragraph 15 adopted, paragraph 16 adopted. We have now an amendment proposed by Japan, can we now consider the new amendment proposed by Japan, which I understand is paragraph 17 and 18 together, or Japan?
Well,
are there two paragraphs?
Thank you very much, Chairman. We presented paragraph 17 and 18 as an amendment, and that is a reflection of the idea of the two-step approach for the liquidation process, which I was kindly given opportunity to mention several times yesterday. And 17 is about the first step, and we used to have the early harvest package of the reform, including the evaluation process by the time of the GA meeting in 2020.
Thank you, Japan. Palestine, Lebanon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this stage, I think that it is clear, it is in coherence with the proposal in 14, 15, and 16. And I think that it is something that all members yesterday appealed for it. So Palestine supports paragraph 17 and 18. Thank you.
Lebanon.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, in support of 17 and 18. Thank you.
Could we have the names of all those who support the new paragraph 17 and 18, please? For the sake of time. Senegal, Sri Lanka, Guatemala, Poland, Togo, Cyprus, Jamaica, Philippines, Zambia, Armenia, Colombia, Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Azerbaijan, of course, together with Palestine, and Djibouti. Therefore, paragraphs 17 and 18 duly adopted. Thank you. Is it of the document? Is its name to be added? Thank you. Yes, Palestine is here. Colombia also is here. Yes.
Thank you. Just a formal remark. If we scroll down to paragraph 14, I think that the title towards a dialogue mechanism should be, yes, here. I think the title towards a dialogue mechanism should arrive right before 14. Because 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, it's about dialogue. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Merci.
Yes, there is now a suggestion that the title, which appeared under paragraph 16, will now be moved upwards, just before paragraph 14. Japan, I believe you have no issue. Neither do other members of the committee. Yes, this also is duly adopted, and can we now move to adopt the whole document? Okay, I take it that we have no objection to adopt as a whole draft document 13-10 as amended. Okay, adopted. Non, ça c'est 14. Non, c'est où là? C'est où là? Tim?